Does your Google business profile ranking feel like a wild roller coaster ride? One day you're soaring to the top, and the next you're tumbling to the bottom. It's frustrating, right? But here's the good news. We've tested strategies to help you break free from this unpredictable cycle. Now, picture this. You're searching for a business on Google and you see two profiles. One of them proudly states that we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, while the other doesn't list any hours at all. Which one do you think Google's more likely to prioritize in the rankings? In today's video, we're going to dive into the impact that listing your hours on Google has on your rankings. Does omitting your hours hurt your ranking, or is saying you're open 24/7 the secret to going to the top?
So I really wanted to test this because last year, Google changed their algorithm and they made it so that a business's opening hours are a huge factor. And I noticed something very interesting. While I was searching after hours, I found this nearly blank listing that really had no reason to rank well, ranking really highly at the top of the page. And the thing that was different about this particular listing was it was for a dentist that had no hours listed on their Google business profile. While they had no hours listed, they were actually outranking all these businesses that did have their hours listed. It made me wonder, does Google look at a listing, and if they don't have hours listed, do they basically treat it as being open 24/7?
So this is very interesting. So on one hand, we could just list no hours, which I imagine comes with some potential drawbacks. On the other hand, we can tell Google that we're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Sounds great. There might be some ranking implications there, but I imagine there's also some considerations there. So I guess the question is, should a business list themselves as open 24/7?
So that is usually my recommendation for most businesses, provided that they can actually answer their phones and that the customer isn't going to hit voicemail. Now, that being said, the question here really can we kind of get around that by listing no hours instead? Is that effectively the same thing? So this is what we tested on a bunch of different business profiles. And I'm going to walk you through and show you what we found after doing that. So what I'm sharing here was a dentist where we basically went and we removed their hours from their profile. And as you can see, they clearly had a decline in ranking. Here's a second example, also a dentist. We saw the exact same thing. Removing the business hours caused a decline in ranking. And the third example I'm going to share, this was a home services business, exactly the same thing.
I want to ask you, Joy, why you think Google does this. I think that's an important question to ask. But I'm also curious, and I'm just thinking of real world examples of a situation where you actually would want to remove your hours. Given that this clearly is not good for rankings for anyone out there, can you think of any reason why any business would just completely want to remove their hours? I can't.
Yeah, so think of it this way. During business hours, when you have your hours listed, Google knows when you're open. So they're going to prioritize businesses that they know are open. So therefore, being open longer will make it so that you rank better more often. However, after hours, when Google can see that all of your competitors are closed, like, yep, this one's closed, that one's closed, and they come to one where they're not sure because there's no hours listed, they're going to think, maybe this business is open because we know that all the others are closed. So if you don't list your hours, you will likely rank better after hours when all your competitors are closed.
Totally makes sense. And I think there's, again, some real world implications for not showing your hours. I imagine that's probably going to annoy customers. I think one of the things people want to know about a business is if they're a good business, they check reviews, and are they open because I need services now. My garage door spring just busted and I can't get into my garage and I need to get my car out like now. So if I'm looking into business and there's no hours listed, why would I contact them? So I get the algorithms doing this, but I also get this is like Google looking at the real world and going, yeah, why would we want to show that in this situation?
For sure. And in most cases, for most of you guys watching, you're going to want to list your hours and try and list them again as late as possible, as early as possible. I always recommend 24/7, but only if you're answering the phones. Now, there may be a few edge cases where you'd actually want to remove your hours. I can think of two scenarios. One is if you get all your leads after your business is closed. Maybe try this. It could work. The other scenario is maybe you don't rank well during business hours because you're new, your business just started and you're competing against tons of businesses that have way more reviews and way better websites and more backlinks and all of that stuff, you might want to try removing your hours, because then you get an advantage after all of them close. And it could work. As always, we like to test things. So do let us know if you try this out, if it works. And if you see the same things, leave a comment and we'll be sure to respond.
A little pro tip here, something that I love to do when I'm doing local SEO audits for our clients, use the Plepper Chrome extension. You pull up your search for a keyword on Google Maps. It'll pull up all the businesses in your client's market. And then over on the right side, it'll actually aggregate all the competitors, tell you what percentage of them are open what hours. And you'll see opportunities there, because what you might see is, wow, 30% of my competitors are listed as 24/7. Well, that means if I do this, I'm suddenly going to have an advantage over 70% of my competitors after hours. It's a great Chrome extension. Check it out.